Hello, beautiful souls. Welcome back to another episode of Sisters with a Purpose. I'm your girl, Leash.
I'm Bree.
And we are at home. It's during the week. We are so excited to get together. But before we get started, please make sure to like, comment, and subscribe to our YouTube channel. Remember, our purpose is to give you a little bit of sports, always some health portion from Bree, and it is February. So why not talk about Black History Month? Because I guess I'm going to call him Wig because that's what someone called him on Instagram. So Wig is trying to get rid of everything DEI related.
Oh, I was like, what are you talking about? Oh, okay.
He's talking about Wig. I'm just glad we got Black History Month. He's trying to get rid of everything, but at least we have Black History Month. So if you didn't know, Bree on Facebook, she always, when it comes to Black History Month, she is dropping facts every single day, if not every single day, every weekly. So Bree, what made you kind of get started into doing that? Because it wasn't something you always did.
I think it was a learning factor for me too. I take it as I get to learn something, and then we also have incorporated with Cameron, he has to learn a Black history fact too. So for y'all that don't know, my son is biracial. And I think it's very, very important, extremely important, not only with our African-American kids, but especially when we have biracial children, that they are educated on both. It can be very, I think, easy when a kid is primarily with one parent than the other, because my son's father lives all the way in Florida, that culturally it can look almost lopsided because they're around a particular culture all the time. So I try to split him learning both and understanding both. So Cameron too, he has to present us with the Black history fact every day, once a week. You know, on the weekends, we try to do it Saturday, Sunday, just to kind of keep him ahead of learning his history and stuff like that. Because unfortunately, they're not talking about it in school. They're not really doing projects and stuff around it. And then I think it's always fun to educate other people. I have a very diverse friend group. Mm-hmm. And so I try to tell them all the time, you know, you don't have to be African-American to still educate yourself on history. Like we were 400 years, sweetie, you can't delete that. So your kids have to know about it. So it's just a broad spectrum of bringing people around on all of that, in which my Black history fact for today is interesting because I chose to do something medical. So that's going to be fun.
Nice. Yeah, I'm glad you mentioned because I don't have children, so I don't know what they're talking about in the school district. I know that some of my friends in Florida have said that it's not brought up at all.
No.
I'm not sure here in Texas. I would have to ask some of the girls that I coach and mentor, like, are y'all doing projects? Because back in the day we did. Like when me and you were in school, we had a project. It was talked about in our history. I believe in middle school was when it was more introduced. And then when we got into high school, I learned more about like government, like the amendments and everything. But so today we are going to share a Black History kind of month fact. My Black History month fact, I actually, when Bree told me, I was like, girl, I'm gonna have to look up something because there's just so many to choose from. But mine is actually a woman named Carolyn Peck. So Carolyn Peck was the coach of Purdue University in 1999. She was the first African-American Black coach to win the NCAA championship as a head coach.
Okay.
So when I looked that up, I was like, who is this woman? Child, she's a sports analyst on ESPN. I've seen her for years, but I just never knew that was her. Like she's aged perfectly and everything. So I was just like, I told my husband, I said, man, this woman, she's popular. And I don't ever recall her ever speaking about it. But when I started doing my research and looking into it, I said, oh, she is the headlight of NCAA women's basketball, just as the head coach of Purdue. When I looked it up, I didn't know who it was going to be. I was like, I know it's not going to be Dawn Staley because I said she just became the coach of South Carolina. It couldn't have been in the 2000s. Like I know, Bree, you wanted me to look up something history, And granted,
history. She's sports history.
Yeah, but then I started thinking about it. I said, well, to say this out loud makes me feel so old. The 2000s is kind of it's 25 years ago, so that technically was history. But yeah, so Carolyn Peck, I'll make sure to put an image up. She was the head coach of Purdue University, and she won the NCAA double championship in 1999.
Okay, I learned something new. Now I'm gonna see her face and be like, oh, so that's when Chris is watching it, because I don't just volunteer.
Yeah.
But mine, I tried to stick with medical because for those of y'all that are first time tuning in, I am a registered nurse. My whole life has been wrapped around medical. And so that's like my heart, my passion. So I chose to do mine on James Smith. He was born in 1813, which puts him during the slave time period. And he had a dream to become a doctor. Lived here in the US, was in New York, and unfortunately, nobody would allow him to attend their college. So he decided, I'm going to go to Scotland. So he goes to Scotland, goes on to get a bachelor's degree, master's degree, and then gets his medical degree, all by the age of 24.
Wow.
Comes back to New York and opens up a practice. So in history, he is the first African-American doctor to have his own practice in the United States. But he decided to do something different. He not only saw African-American patients, Black patients, he also saw white patients as well. And then, I mean, he was just very broad in his practice, but he was like very diverse in languages. I mean, he knew Latin, Greek, French, Hebrew, Spanish. He just was very, very well diverse for somebody at the age of 24.
Right.
So he accomplished a whole lot. He is a part of a lot of the New York history. If you are to go into like med school, they're going to bring him up and talk about him as far as, you know, our diversity in African-American culture. So I thought that was amazing to know and learn that, you know, one of our first African-American Black doctors to have a practice was out of New York.
Yeah. That doesn't surprise me. I know when my parents went to New York, they said, I know my dad, because, you know, he does MRIs. Mm-hmm. That was something he noticed too, that it's a lot different than Texas. There's a lot of like private practices, a lot of what he calls us up in New York. And I told him, I said, yeah, it's not, you know, we're not just down south, we're up north too. But he just said the culture of healthcare is just totally different up there.
I can believe that.
As I could imagine. Mm-hmm. All right. Well, as we conclude our Black History Month segment, please make sure to leave a comment. You know, what is something, maybe look up something that you're interested in and just see, like, you know, was it, I guess, invented? No, not necessarily invented, but just look up like a Black History Month this fact. Challenge yourself to find something if it's weekly. Because like I said, we don't get
it in school no more.
We're not getting it in school anymore. And there's no telling what's going to happen. And it's very important to make sure you're educated. Because like Bree said, you can't wipe away history like that.
Yeah.
All right. So let's go ahead and transition into the sports segment. So the Super Bowl was on Sunday. It was a little boring, but it was good. It was good for Black History Month, but it was a little boring.
Why you saying boring? Because some people are saying that the actual halftime is what caused.
Oh, no, just the Super Bowl game in general. Because my husband's a big Philly fan, so of course he was excited. But even he was like, "It's like." I didn't know it was going to be like that. We hosted something at the house, just a little small get together. But yeah, it was kind of one-sided, as you could say. Bree, did you get a chance to watch it?
I did. I watched the Super Bowl, and I was expecting for it to be a nail biter. I thought it was going to come down to the last few minutes. I did not think that it was going to be a blowout like it was. I am still happy of the outcome that the Eagles won. I wanted to see I wanted to see Hurts get his first ring. I'm not a, Kansas City Chief fan. We've talked about that in previous episodes. Why? But it was a good moment. And a lot of history was made there. You had a father and son duo where dad had won a Super Bowl, same team. He wears the same number as his dad. You had that going on. We had another player who was playing on his birthday and got a Super Bowl. And then we got to see what we don't often see, and that is a Black father, a two-parent household who gave us the product of that wonderful quarterback, and has been there with him and by his side for the long haul and the ride. So that was beautiful to see.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. Knowing knowing his history, because he went to Bama and then got benched the championship game at Bama, then went to OU, and then
right, the whole Tua controversy.
Yeah, success at OU, and then got drafted into the league, and it's just, well, why'd they draft him? It was just, to me, it just felt like he always had a target on his back, and he always had to prove the naysayers wrong. And even to this day, like, I listen to some things while just at work to kind of have something in the background, and people still got something negative to say.
Yeah, he can't take it.
Yeah, I'm just like, can y'all just let him? He's a champion. Just let him have it.
It's because he checks all the boxes, and unfortunately, African American men get a stigma, and to me, he is going through the same thing as Russell. When it comes to his image and how he carries himself, family life, he's getting the same thing. We just can't see a Black man that just educated, handles his money right, it isn't one of those that fits the ghetto or the thug mentality. We have an issue with it. It's abnormal. No, they exist.
Yep. And that kind of goes into the Super Bowl. So, or not the Super Bowl, but the halftime show. So what was your thoughts on the halftime show? Because I already know how he's a big Kendrick fan, but what was your take on it?
I loved it, but my husband's a big Kendrick fan. Chris is from LA, so understanding the West Coast vibe, understanding the West Coast music, and knowing who Kendrick Lamar was before it was even a mainstream thing, was already introduced to our household. If you follow Kendrick Lamar, there's not a show he's ever done that does not have a hidden message. That's his thing. I think the problem is he was such a big West Coast rapper. He has had mainstream music, but not as mainstream and as viral as Not Like Us. So then you have a community that is not minority that does not know who he is, other than for Not Like Us. And then you put him on this main stage and he's doing this amazing history moment and giving us, art. And people are like, I didn't like it. I don't get it. Well, you have to want to take the time to learn it and understand where he's coming from and do your research. And it really does come down to art. If we were to all go to an exhibit and I look at a painting, I may see something different than what you see. I think the problem is people don't want to open themselves up to see it. And then, unfortunately, us as a minority, we say it year after year, time after time, we can be the worst critic of our own people. And I think that part was so sad for me to see Black African Americans, Black people, us take that moment and nitpick it apart and complain about it and what Wayne would have did, what he wouldn't have done. To be honest, nobody under the age of 25 can relate to Lil Wayne. Not our Lil Wayne, not the Carter Ford Lil Wayne. So it's kind of like, it would have been the same thing. It would have flew over people's heads.
Yeah, and I agree with you too. I think that the perfect analogy and comparison, like you said, is art. Your interpretation of art is going to be totally different from mine. I'm not gonna lie. I did have to watch it twice. And I text you that because you was like, how'd you like it? I said, I ain't gonna lie. When I first watched it, I said, huh. And I was eating, so I was just like, okay.
It was a lot going on though.
Yeah, it was a lot going on. Was it a great show? Yes. He did great with what he was given, because from what my husband told me, that show wasn't supposed to be like that. It was a lot they had to take out because of the president being there, aka Wig. He was at the game. He was the first one at the game, but it was a lot that they couldn't do, like as far as like the explosives and just a lot of things they had to take out because he was there. That's what they're saying on the internet. I'm not sure if it's 100% true, but I do believe it, because even Dawn Staley, she was coaching. They played Texas on Saturday, and she was going to leave after the game and go to the Super Bowl from Austin, but she couldn't even fly to the game because he was en route to the game. The airline, like there wasn't any flights going. When I guess there's just things that's happening.
I can see that. The president in the air, they're not, no.
Right. Yeah. And I didn't believe it at first. I said, there's no way. And then I looked
flights for, I can, I mean, you got, and I hate to use, but a whole helicopter just went into a flight landing. And we're still trying to figure out what happened there. So no, it's that man been having a target on his back for a while. So.
Right. But I just thought it was sad, because I said, well, man, what if you're a business person, you knew you had tickets to the game flying out of Austin, and you wanted to go the day of because you knew that was the day you could go. I'm like, man, that's I would hate to be the airlines to say, you're going to have to drive now instead of flying, which it's Austin to New Orleans. It's not that big of a drive, but still, when you already have your plan set in place, that is unfortunate. Yeah. But no, I love the halftime show. It's like you said, they always gonna find something to complain about.
What was your favorite part?
When SZA came out.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm petty. When he said, "Hey, Drake." Baby, and turned in that camera and smiled, Kristen. I was like, oh, okay. Child, even my toddlers was bouncing around here to Not Like Us. So
really,
I should have got them on video. It was too cute. But I mean, like I said, it's a viral sensation. And then, he put the final nail in the coffin where you have the ex-boo crip walking.
Mm-hmm. I was surprising too, but I love too that everybody was covered up, like the women. Mm-hmm. And then I had saw something. Somebody was like, they got the national Black women's haircut because apparently we wear bobs. That's just the.
Okay.
I was like, I'm not a bob girl, but I did partake in having I'm not gonna lie, I did have a wig back in the day when I used to wear a bob. It did kind of activate something when I wore it, so I can relate to that, especially back in my college days. But I love the Super Bowl. I've watched it. How many times have you watched it after?
I watched it one more time after that, but I haven't. It was surprising for me. So Pandora, we listened to it or whatever. It popped up. The halftime show popped up for me to listen to the entire halftime show on my Pandora thing. I thought that was different. I didn't know they did that.
Oh yeah, after they perform, I think even Apple Music, you can find like the playlist, because even when Rihanna did it last year, they had her set kind of the songs available in order how she performed them. All right, well, that kind of concludes our sports segment. I know that was just the biggest thing we wanted to talk about.
That was the highlight.
Yeah, that was the highlight. I mean, there's plenty more highlights. I know living here in Dallas, the fans are sad because Luka was traded to LA, but I mean, that I haven't been too much paying attention to the NBA, so I'm not gonna lie, but I just know fans here in Dallas are still hurt.
I heard y'all carrying caskets and stuff.
Yes. Girl, they are
candles. I said he had nothing to do with that, Yeah. I thought it was a very unique and different trade because there was no speculation, and then there was no there was like no open enrollment of like he's about to be traded. Every team would have went for him. It was like directly from Dallas to LA conversation, the Lakers conversation. So that was very weird, abnormal. We still don't know the reason. I kind of do believe the narrative that it's a two-way fold, that they sent him to the Lakers to get the discipline from LeBron, to get him in shape, to get him to work out, but to also have him step into LeBron's kind of dynasty as he leaves and take over the team. I do kind of more so feel like that makes sense, because we've been saying it. LeBron is on his way out. It's either this year or next year, and I think he's done.
Yeah, I can see that.
So
yeah, I mean, shoot, but in LA, because you've been to LA plenty of times. Dallas and LA is so different. Here,
day and night.
I think even just the food choices too, just the environment. I can see why he'll probably be able to get healthy and stuff within the next like month or two. And like you said, being under LeBron, he's played all these years and he still doesn't look his age. So yeah, that's I see it as a win-win. But girl, these fans here, child.
Man, and they will get on the player. They will crucify the player. And it's like, when they get that phone call and they gotta go. It really was. What was he gonna say? Well, I ain't going.
Right.
I mean, it's millions of dollars at stake, but I think that's more so what happened. Me personally, I am like, he was still productive to your team. He was still carrying your team. He was still putting up numbers. Y'all was that mad because of workouts and weight, but I guess, it's an investment. So I don't know the chaos that might have been happening in the locker room, I guess.
Yeah, you could tell the players were hurt too. That's the sad part to me, is just, I never really got to experience that. It was just, I stayed with a team, I went to a team. But when I guess it compensates because you get paid millions. So I wouldn't care where you need me to go. what you giving me? Okay. But I do understand the camaraderie. You already have it set with one team, and it's like, man, I gotta leave and get adjusted to this new team. But at the end of the day, everybody's a professional, so it shouldn't be too hard to adjust it, to adapt.
Do you think it also was a controversy thing, considering the ratings, the numbers? They knew that this was going to be a huge talk. They knew that this is going to also maybe change people viewing and seeing what the Lakers are going to do now that they got this trade.
Not really, because I guess that's why I haven't really paid attention to the NBA as much, because they've been doing this for a long time. Anthony Edwards got traded from the Timberwolves to New York, and it was random. Like, he was doing good. And I wouldn't say he was a star player, but he was one of the stars. Kyrie was with Brooklyn. He got traded to Dallas. I just think with the NBA, it's just not to sound bad, they do stuff to stay like relevant sometimes, because I feel like they know the ratings aren't as good as the NFL. But now that the NFL is over, All-Star Weekend is this weekend, or is it next weekend? I usually don't tune in, but I'm gonna tune in just to see. I usually do watch the dunk contest just to see, but I was telling my husband, I said, it don't surprise me. Every year they do something right before All-Star Weekend. But it just surprised me that it was,
it's Luka. Changed. Growing up, All-Star Weekend was like the thing that our aunties and them was trying to get to. And then on top of
right.
I'm telling them my aunties. But then it was also like you looked forward to like 3-point. The dunk contest was huge. Now I'm just like, I feel like I've seen it all in the dunk contest. Nobody's doing nothing different to make me just be like, okay, we're gonna sit down and watch.
Yeah. To me, it's like I would take make it interesting. Get some college kids, get some high schoolers. Do it. I don't know. They need to do something different though. I know they changed the game, like how it is the East against the West, but again, they just need to do something interesting. Because I think last year it wasn't even somebody that plays in the NBA. It was somebody that played for like the D League who won. So, but yeah, I'll tune in. I'll turn it on and have it on, but I'm not gonna be. It ain't gonna be like the Super Bowl because I don't even like who's performing at the. I don't even know who's performing. I know one year it was J. Cole, and I think, girl, I couldn't even tell you where it's at, to be honest. I ain't gonna lie to you. I don't even know where they have it All-Star Weekend. I remember one year they had it in I think it was Houston. And I knew because I actually was gonna try and go, but I couldn't even tell you where it's at. I ain't interested.
I've never been. I ain't never been. I haven't gone voluntarily, and I ain't been flown out to set the record straight. So, no, I ain't attended, so I'm good.
Not flown out. Yeah, neither have I. I guess I'm regular. But let's go ahead and transition to our health segment. I'm excited about it because it's February. It's Black History Month. It's Heart Awareness.
It is Heart Awareness Month. Mm-hmm. So always think when you see Valentine's Day and you see red, think of the heart, correlate the two. It is a lot of knowledge and stuff that they put into both. Last year, we did talk about the importance of knowing the signs and symptoms of a heart attack for males and for females, things that you can do to reduce having one. So this year, we're going to kind of caveat more into high blood pressure, something that I think me and you both know somebody that's struggling with high blood pressure. It's very, very prominent in the minority community. A lot of it is diet. A lot of it is just genetic markers and stuff that puts us at a higher risk. So when thinking of high blood pressure, what is it? So that is, if you've ever gone to the doctor and they put that cuff on your arm and it squeezes it, it gives you two beautiful sets of numbers. One of them is your systolic pressure. The other one is your diastolic pressure, right? So textbook 120/80 is like beautiful. That's normal, healthy. When we start to go above that 130 marker, 90 marker, we start saying, okay, this person's blood pressure is elevated. And then when we start hitting 140/90, that's what we consider high blood pressure. So how do we get there? Once again, what's the family history and stuff like? Some people are just going to be more susceptible because mom, dad, grandma, grandpa, they've passed it along, right? That puts you at a higher risk. But it all comes back around to activity, meaning do you work out, and diet, two main factors, right? So making sure that you're working out consistently, at least 30 minutes, y'all, 3 to 5 times a week. It doesn't have to be anything strenuous. You can just go for a walk. That gets the blood flow going. Paying attention to what you eat. You can't eat greasy foods forever. Even my people in my 20s, people think, oh, I don't have to worry about it till I'm in my 30s and 40s. No, you start damaging your heart very early on. It starts in your 20s. You consecutively eat that way to your 30. You've already created damage. You've already created things that are going to be harder for you to reverse, like your cholesterol and plaque buildup and all this other stuff that correlates to you having high blood pressure. High blood pressure can turn into our severe things like strokes, put you at a high risk of a heart attack. You can also put you at risk for things like vision loss, and heart failure, kidney disease, and then it can, smaller percentages, cause some kind of sexual dysfunctions, libido and stuff levels. So long story short, y'all, just take care of your heart. Ways that you can kind of keep track of your blood pressure is you can go to Walgreens, CVS, all these different places that carry medical supplies. You can get your own blood pressure cuff and start checking your own blood pressure, or just at least do like me and Alicia have always talked about, twice a year, go to your doctor, get a nice little physical, get a checkup, and have some labs drawn. Most basics insurance will cover at least twice a year for you to have that done. When they do those labs, they can look at those markers, your kidneys, they can look at your cholesterol levels, and we have a baseline of where you started to kind of know if there's any implication of something going on. And then they're going to check your blood pressure. So let's just say you do have a high blood pressure one time in their office, doctor's probably going to be like, are you having any signs or symptoms? Are you having headaches? Is your vision changing? You know, they're going to deep dive. They may want you to start keeping a journal of your blood pressures or have you follow up in the office a couple of times to see if there's just a routine. And sometimes these things can be reversible. I myself was on blood pressure meds for an entire year. After my second pregnancy, my son, unfortunately, I had preeclampsia, which turned into eclampsia. And it took my blood pressure an entire year to restabilize itself. Okay. So I'm not on blood pressure medication anymore for blood pressure. I still utilize that same medication for other things because I have migraines and I have what we call Raynaud's disease. So that one blood pressure medicine I take, it's taking care of multiple things. Y'all, I'm 34 and I'm broken. But thank you, military. But what I'm trying to say is there's sometimes light at the end of the table. You just got to make corrections with your diet and working out and just steering the course, and things can get better. So,
yeah. I was going to say too. Yeah, no, I was just going to say too about the two physicals. It is very important. And she's right about insurance purposes because, you know, I work for a healthcare company. Your insurance does cover for you to get at least one. I'm not sure if it's two, but I know for a fact if you plan it correctly, you can get, you know, your labs done and get that annual physical. We used to get physicals as kids just because we become adults, y'all. Keep it up. Just like you go to the dentist. Go ahead and just get a
in that spring and fall cleaning on them teeth.
Right. Go to the dentist, get you a PCP. If not, get you a primary care doctor. If not a primary care doctor, just make sure you have a relationship with some type of doctor or some type of clinic. You can still go to like an urgent care and get some of that stuff done too, but it's just very important to stay up to date with your health because it is crazy and surprises me how these fast food restaurants, like how the lines are just drive-through lines are just wrapped around. I'm like, man, how are people eating like that? And like you said, you might not feel it now, but long term, it's gonna hit you. So just make sure you're staying on track of your health.
And they do have for our San Antonians, they do have mobile clinics. University Health does do a lot of their mobile clinics. I think it's like You Healthy or You something Healthy Express. We'll figure out the actual name of it. But they go to schools now and they do a lot of education with kids. They go to different communities that they set up and they cover some of that stuff. They go over diabetes and just preventative stuff. So to be honest, y'all, there's really no excuse. You just have to want to educate yourself on it and get yourself the help and assistance that you need.
Yeah. All right. So just that's our kind of our homework for you. So first, make sure you look up, you know, some type of Black History Month effect. Make sure to watch Kendrick's Superbowl if you haven't. And if you have, watch it again. It's on YouTube.
We'll try to find it. I think you can do it. Hey, Drake.
Girl, maybe. I've seen it's I've been watching people like react to it and it's the copyright thing. So I don't know if it'll be blacked out. So I don't know if we'll be able to add it. But yeah, go ahead and
T-Pain's reaction was hilarious for me.
Yeah. So go ahead and make sure y'all watch it. Because it's already at like millions of views. I think it passed.
That was another fact. You know, he surpassed Michael Jackson as the most watched and viewed halftime performance in NFL history.
Oh, I did not know that.
Yes. So I think Michael Jackson did like 334.4 million. Kendrick did 333.5. So dude dude has went out legend numbers. So sorry, Drake.
Yeah, so we are only a couple of days into February and it's already starting off, us breaking breaking monumentals and doing different things. So that's exciting. And then the last thing is just make sure you're taking care of yourself. I know me and Bree joke about it, and we can say too, we're not coming on here telling you to eat healthy every day. It's been times where I'm just like, we finna go to Whataburger today. I ain't cooking nothing, but just make it a habit to take care of yourself and make sure you're at least getting your fruits and veggies and a daily vitamin. Mm-hmm. It'll help your heart. But Bree, before we conclude our episode, did you want to add anything?
I don't. Y'all just stay blessed and stay safe. We're living in different times now, so just take care of yourself.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, that concludes our episode of Sistahs with a Purpose. Before we end, as always, please make sure to hit that like, comment, and subscribe button. Our subscribers are continuing to grow. We are just chugging away to get those watch hours and views up. So please help us, even if it's just clicking that share button or just showing a friend. We do appreciate it. Our next episode, we're hoping to have a guest on. We will keep you posted. But until next time, bye.
Bye.